More drama from T1. Well, it's not really drama, to be honest, but more stuff from T1 that people are turning into drama. Gumayusi returns to the bench. Should I move my cam when I do Reddit? Because stuff is like sided to one side. Gumayusi returns to the bench. Smash returns to the starting lineup. Just announced a couple of minutes ago. Personally, I'm fine with having Smash in. Performance was good. With them losing closely a contested BO5 to Hanwha. And wait. Oh, okay. Well, he's talking about the one before. And Smash adds a different dynamic to T1 in terms of being able to play hyper carries. Now, okay, here's one thing. People have changed the definition of hyper carries, and now there's like this thing where people are arguing against a ghost. So, right? So hyper carries in League are actually this. So like hyper carries in League generally are Jinx, if we're talking about 80 carries, right? Zeri, something people consider a hyper carry. People consider things like Sivir a hyper carry. Like these are like what people actually think are hyper carries. I mean, Aphelios kind of acts like a hyper carry, but like Kog'Maw, like this is like what people think are like, this is what hyper carries actually are. Smash is not playing these champions. What Smash is playing, so this is like, these are champions that are traditional hyper carries. What Smash actually plays really well that Guma doesn't play well is Kai'Sa and Ezreal. These are champs that are actually played quite a bit right now that Guma can't play. This is what we're actually arguing over. This is what the argument should be about. It should be about Kai'Sa and Ezreal and Smash being able to play these proficiently because both of them are very popular in the meta in Korea, and Guma not being able to play them. So what ends up happening right now is that people are now arguing over like the fact that Guma, and I've seen this on Reddit, because there hasn't been this like distinction made. People on Reddit are being like, what do you mean Guma can't play hyper carries? Like he could play Jinx. Like he was one of the best Jinx players. Look at his Jinx win rate, where it's like no one cares about if you could play Jinx right now. Jinx is not even close to the meta. It's sometimes not even picked in 5-game Fearless. Like game 4, game 5 Fearless, when like a lot of engaged champions are out, then maybe Jinx could come in. But for the most part, we almost never see Jinx, right? So the main thing is that Smash plays Ezreal and Kai'Sa much better, and he plays Zeri, which also pops up in Korea, much better than Guma. So that is like one of the things that is being argued about. Okay, message from the T1 LOL team. Ahead of today's match against KT Rolster, we'd like to share an update with our fans regarding a roster decision. After closely reviewing scrimmages and holding thoughtful discussions with the sole focus on team performance, why do they have to like, they have to specify this? It's so awkward, to be honest. It has been decided that Smash will be starting today while Gumayusi takes time to reset and regain form from the bench. The decision was made by the coaching staff. Now, this is like a really awkward situation that we're seeing. The awkward situation is that every single time that Guma ends up getting benched, the coaching staff has to like shoulder the full blame. But when like Guma returned, Joe Marsh is the one who lets people know who's doing it. This is like very fucking weird to me, because normally you would just be aligned and it would just be like, you wouldn't even specify who's making the decision. It would just be assumed that it was like the coaching staff, or like it would just be within the team. Like normally it would just be like, hey, we have 2 players. This player is going to play. Like we decided that this player is going to play. But it's very weird that there's like 2 different people that they are making sure are always tied to the decisions. We're sharing this now in hopes of alleviating the current confusion, which has unfortunately been shaped by a number of incorrect assumptions, some of which stemmed from our own lack of clarity. This is bullshit. Like the reason why there are incorrect assumptions, I mean, if they are incorrect, they're probably just correct assumptions. But the reason why people are assuming things is because of the way that everything was handled, with Joe Marsh stepping forward and then saying that Guma was going to play and it was his decision, not the coaching staff's. That just made it sound like he wanted Guma to play and the coaching staff didn't want Guma to play, which is probably what's happening here if the coaching staff is also making sure that Smash is playing. Moving forward, unless changes are made due to player illness or injury, we will not be pre-announcing roster decisions. This is to minimize both misunderstandings, and any unintentional strategic disclosures. We hope our fans can understand and relate to the spirit behind this decision. Yeah, they probably just don't want the backlash every time, but you know, it is what it is. Both Gumayusi and Smash are integral parts of T1. We believe in all of our players and in the strength of this team. We sincerely ask our fans to stand with us, united as one team, and to continue supporting all of our players with the same unwavering passion that defines the team first spirit. Thank you for your understanding and continued support. The team first spirit, I mean, It's hard to have like team first spirit when your CEO came in and made a decision based on what was better for the organization's pocket rather than what's better for the actual team winning. It's Jover. This is likely the end unless Smash starts massively underperforming. I mean, I don't know. I think they can actually, what they should probably do, if people weren't like completely mentally ill, what they probably should do is just play both players some amount and then just see who's like performs better over time, give them both stage games here and there. The reality of the situation is that like T1, I mean, haven't won MSI in like 7-8 years or something like that. Like this team is trying to win worlds. That's what they've done multiple times. What they should be doing in the LCK Cup is they should be playing both players and they should be trying to decide going into summer who's going to be the starter. And then once summer hits, then I think you like pick somebody and you go with it because you have a limited amount of time before worlds and everything kicks off. But I feel like right now they should be using both players. That's probably the best thing. It's because, I mean, look, Guma played, I thought he played poorly versus Genji. I had a tweet about it. People were like, you know what's funny is I have a tweet like this. And it's like the coaching staff agrees, but the fans do not agree. Probably win that shit with Smash, just saying. Game 2, 3, huge mistakes from Guma. I mean, I tweeted that shit out. Like, the fans were like, you're rage baiting. You're rage baiting. It must be rage bait to think that Smash is better than Guma. It's like, nah, bro, I just think he, like, plays better right now. I think that Guma could definitely be better than Smash if it comes to, like, you know, maybe Guma's better in big games, or maybe Guma is better, like, when there's different champions that are in the current meta. I can see that. One thing I think has hurt Guma a lot is Fearless Draft, to be honest. If you look at how like Guma was as a player, he was always somebody who like would lock in on a few champions that he was really good at when things mattered a lot. Whereas I feel like players like Viper would be more open with their champion pools. They would play a lot of different styles based on the team. Let's talk about Brotherhood from T1. And they do this to their most consistent player. And T1 fans were mad at Zeus for betraying the org. You're very naive if you think a professional sports team was ever about Brotherhood over performance. All this talk about Brotherhood. Yeah, I don't know. It's super weird. Like, I mean, teams talk about Brotherhood, and I literally just don't view it at all. Of course, every team will care about winning over mostly everything else. I think T1 is one of the exceptions where they care more about, like, it's not about Brotherhood. They care about money and, like, brand because they have such a big brand compared to, like, results. Whereas normally, like, in a team, it's just, yeah, it doesn't matter. Fans are obsessed with the idea of T1 being friends, but the reality is they're an esports team looking to win. Koma's the greatest coach in League of Legends history, bar none. He should be given the same grace as Greg Popovich. I have full faith that he knows what he is doing. Same. Like, I'm aligning with the coaches here. I think the coaches should decide. And the reason why I hate the fact that Joe Marsh brought Guma back is because Joe Marsh is not sitting there every single day working with the team. And even if he is, I mean, he's not, but if he was even sitting there every single day, he doesn't have the knowledge on League of Legends to make these types of decisions. Like he's not smart enough about the game to really understand what is going to be best for the team outside of like just like an optics thing or just like a feeling. You know, he's not going to have the precision that somebody like Koma will when it comes to these types of roster decisions. And I don't think that Koma has some like, people are saying like, oh, the coaching staff hates Guma. I've seen like this comment with a bunch of upvotes, by the way. It's like, oh, there's like obviously some drama between the coaching staff and Guma. It's like, no, I just think the coaching staff watches the games and they think that Guma is a liability right now. And I think that also one of the points that I made that people have glossed over, because it's probably a good point, that's normally what League of Legends players and fans do. Like when there's a video and I make like a bunch of good points, people will just tunnel on like the overall statement of me saying that Guma is playing worse than Smash individually, and they'll just argue against that because they don't want to argue against the fact that Guma's biggest strength is not what T1 needs when they have a player like Doran in the lineup. Guma's biggest strength complements a super carry top like Zeus. Guma's biggest strength of being able to essentially like pick lanes that should be losing and just be fine because like Keria is good at like the losing matchups in the lane. Like Keria is able to get through it and he allows Keria to open up and do whatever he wants. That is not a good strength to have right now in the current meta. Like he loses a lot of lanes that he shouldn't be losing early. For example, when they play Poppy into Nautilus, right? If you're playing Poppy into Nautilus with a Corki, the idea is that the Poppy is supposed to help like get an advantage. If Poppy can squeeze an advantage on the Nautilus, then Poppy can open up and go other places. And then once Corki is 6, it kind of operates like Ezreal, where you could chill for the most part. You obviously have to be covered on dives, but you could chill for the most part, long range, you could farm, and then you can like go on mid lane later on and just try to get to your 2-item spike. When he played that matchup, he power into the lane. Like level 2, he just ran it down in the lane. And that gave Ezreal massive advantage in the game. And Ruler into the advantage, but that doesn't mean the advantage isn't there. I feel like from a coaching staff, you're not going to have a situation like this where Ruler ints a position that should be unlosable, and you're like, oh, well, the other AD carry fucked up too, so like, who cares? You know, like, this is the idea that fans have, because it's not Ruler versus Guma for the spot on T1. It's Guma versus Smash. So if they think that they have a player that's going to be able to get through those positions in lane, then they're going to rely on the player that they think can get through those positions in lane. We should leave. He's way too good to be on the bench, and IMO his loyalty being repaid like this after helping T1 win Worlds twice is a slap in the face to him. This is like such a, like, I don't know why I see so many of these comments. If the coaching staff prefers Smash and want to build him up, that's fine, but last split showed Koma isn't willing to give Guma a fair shot at getting his place back. How do you know this? So Guma should leave. He's too good to be a bench player. Smash is also a rookie. He's not mentally ready for a Game 5 decider against Ruler or Viper, who are world champions and have been there, done that. Experience in-game and mentality is very crucial at underrated aspect. I mean, Pays was good enough to do that, right? Like, Pays was able to play against people that were insane and win when he was a rookie. You don't know that about a rookie, by the way. Vladi is a rookie. He was able to play well in clutch moments throughout a split. Kalissa's a rookie. Like, this is just some like random bullshit that people make up. Like, there's rookies that are really good in clutch, and there's rookies that are not good and not clutch. You know, like, it just depends on the individual person. But yeah, I see this type of stuff, and it's like, Guma's way too good. Like, how do people know that Guma wasn't given a fair shot? If, like, they're playing scrims every day. If Guma is getting time in the scrims to prove himself, and the coaching staff thinks that he's performing worse than Smash, then he doesn't deserve a shot on stage. Like, it's not just some like, and like here, he got a shot on stage again, and like, he played okay in game, or he played good in game 1, and then he played poorly in games 2 and 3. So the end result was, yeah, we think the Smash will probably be better for the team. The same team that got Faker a sub because EasyHood plays better on certain champs. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is just, it's so parasocial and weird. I've got no strong attachment to either player, but Guma is really stuck between a rock and a hard place. This sounds like, when you preface this and you're like, I've got no strong attachment to either player, but then you just tunnel on the fact that Guma is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Isn't Smash also stuck between a rock and a hard place? Isn't it just the other stuff? Like, it is literally just the opposite side for Smash, where it's like, he's better individually right now than Gumayusi, but he got benched because of popularity, and now there's this like insane pressure on Smash where if like he messes up, the Guma stands are just gonna fucking come for him. It just feels like Smash is not being considered at all. I don't understand why people just feel like, oh, Smash should just be grateful that he's there. Like, just because Smash is not as known as Gumayusi doesn't mean his situation is any better. So Smash is between a hard place and a rock. Yeah, I guess. So losing scrims with Guma and winning scrims with Smash is what I'm getting from this. Or they think Smash is just performing better. They probably don't care about the winning and losing. Mets is gone after this year's. They didn't just kill ZOFGK. They're gonna obliterate it. Now T1 just needs to lose to KT for Mayhem. Guma to KT. If he's fed up with these swaps, it would be the funniest timeline. Bro, I don't know. Damn, why did they even sign him for another year if it would be like this? Bro, we're just like drooling. They signed him for another year before the Zeus situation. Like, did we forget the whole Zeus situation happened? They were trying to bring back the lineup. They signed Guma before Zeus. That was part of the whole drama, bro. Like, what the f***, man? What the fuck?